right, next up, we have Street Department, and that is on your operating budget, page 27. We got Percy and Johnny here.
Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Y'all finally get to meet the best department in the city.
Yeah.
That'd be us.
Morning, good morning.
All right.
You like that, Tara?
The truth hurt. All right.
Entertainment.
Yeah, maybe the most entertaining department, yeah. All right, so we got, this goes 27, then 28, and, yeah, 27 and 28 are operations for Street Department. Y'all have any questions for the Street Department on their operations?
Any big changes you got coming for this next year?
I've been called from the State Department, from the state about taking up some more mooring, and I told them we didn't have the equipment to do that right now, and I talked to the mayor about it, so we'll just, I guess since this budget year already started, we could discuss that with him and see if that's something he want to do. I'd rather him make the decision than me, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More right away
More, they're gonna go all the way up to the ballpark, they'd exit there.
on 40?
On I-40, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Is street repainting on your all's,
Ma'am?
street repainting, the stripes,
Striping.
turn lines, turn lanes?
No, that's engineering.
Yeah, that coming from the engineer.
Well,
Contract that
under- Yeah, we have a contract with it right now. I just wondered if y'all,
I know some of y'all are new, so I can tell you some of the things we do, so you'll know if you got the questions for it. I got 7 tractor drivers, we do sweeping. We got 8 maintenance guys to do your right-of-ways, your mooring, your alleys, your drains. We got 13 in construction, which he got that. That's Johnny Weller there. They do a great job. That's asphalt, sidewalks, ADA, whatever. And 1 supervisor in maintenance. It's some of the things we do, so y'all know if y'all need to call. I wrote it down. We do the spills, flooding, tornadoes, guardrails, dead trees on the right-of-ways, emergency on call. We do the sweeping, the sidewalks, the mowing, the alleys, like I said, I already said that though, potholes, drain tops, site obstructions, ADA, state contract, you know. But you know, we got 36 people right now. We got 1 position open and 1 part-time position open. We do a lot of after-hour work, so we 24/7. If it's a storm or something come, we want to get the trees out the street, cut them up. We got 2 partners that help us. That's health and sanitation and stormwater. They're always helping us, so that's pretty good. We just call them, they help us out all the time, work as a team. We're in charge of all the snow, the ice, we got the salt trucks and stuff like that, so if y'all need to know who got that, we do that too. I'm kind of gracious for the mayor. This is the most equipment we ever got in 4 years. We used to just get 1 piece of equipment a year. With all the stuff we do, and the equipment got old and it was hard to work with, but we want to say we appreciate him helping it out because this is the most we ever got since I've been working in 28 years, these 4 years, and we appreciate that. We really do, because we wasn't getting nothing. And it took down the maintenance costs because old equipment is real expensive to repair and parts are hard to find. So we want to thank him for that, and the council for supporting us on getting it. But that's what we do, and I want to let everybody know, because I know we had some new people on board, so.
Did you say potholes as well?
Yeah.
Potholes?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We got 3 guys to do potholes. Then he added another crew that's gonna be on another piece of equipment. He can tell you about that. So go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, on that second crew, it's, if you look, well, when you get to your capital, you look at the, equipment that we're trying to get for it, that would be more of a, asphalt, cutting small cuts. And I got a second crew just will be doing that, making our repair cuts. in the streets. We got a lot of that going on right now, so,
Done a good job,
yeah.
to me out.
We get a lot of calls on potholes, but, you know, if we could do every pothole in one day, we probably wouldn't have a job because there's a lot of them, but we try to get to them as quick as possible. Most time, if you call or get on 311, I think the turnaround to get to that pothole is very quick. Some people complain about them, but they ain't calling about them. We need to call because we can't be everywhere to see where every one of them is at. So if you get your district people to call us, we can get to it quicker.
Most of the time on our pothole crews, they do have tablets, and then once y'all put that 311 in, it goes straight to them, and they catch it while they out. So I keep up with data with that as well.
Well, just commendations to you. I have a constituent who went to 311 and put in a request for the street sweeper to come, and it came that day, that same day. So I want to commend you all for that. And
That's all we need is a call.
Yeah.
They complain, but they ain't called.
I got you.
When you call, we coming.
I'm curious about, looking at your capital budget, you've got a 40-inch milling head. I don't know anything, first off, I'll preface this, I don't know anything about what you're actually using that for or any kind of specific training. I'm not seeing any additional training to your employees added to that, and I'm not seeing additional workforce associated with that, so I'm wondering, is that something you're gonna absorb within the crews, or is this, tell me how you're gonna utilize that?
Yeah, that asphalt crew will be using that daily, and what it costs to rent one, sometime we had to rent one.
Okay, so you're actually using one now?
Oh,
you're
yeah,
just
yeah,
renting it,
we'll
you're
use
moving
one
no
every
purchase.
once in a while when we, if it's a job that we can't handle with the infrared, then we'll use, we'll call, get a rental on a infrared, milling head.
Okay, thank you.
And I did add 2 additional personnel, one for maintenance and one for construction. And that will be because of the equipment we do have to operate. It would be saving time because what we do is we cross-train a lot of our people. So if we need a bunch of people, well, we train them in the wintertime to go over there and help out. And so then they go back to the regular job because most of the summer work is done 9 months a year, at spring, summer, and fall. And then in the wintertime, we can cross-train a lot of guys. And if somebody off, we can vacation or something, we just put them in their place.
I'm only seeing maintenance changes, maintenance 3 title changes on your budget.
Well, those guys there, that's what I'm saying. You want to keep these guys, and they've been here a while, and they've proven themselves. They cross-train, they do several different things. So we want to keep them, and, we moving them up in new positions to do other jobs.
What I'm saying is I'm not seeing any new positions, if I'm understanding.
Well,
if
I
I'm
put it
reading
in there,
this
it's two positions in the new budget, maintenance 1.
correct. Does anybody else see those?
Well, we got 3 open right now,
Okay,
yeah, that's it. Because we fully staffed,
okay.
yeah. But I want to add 2 more, but so I already went through that process, but it ain't on there right.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
That's what I'm communicating. I'm not seeing that.
We'll make sure we get it in there.
I'm with you, I don't see it
Well-
highlighted at least.
It's not been noted in any way.
Okay, we'll get it. I'll work with Bobby on that. Okay.
Do we need to make a note of that?
As far as your street sweepers, I know y'all had trouble with those, and didn't we purchase a newer one recently, or?
We purchased a new one. What it is, we got the old ones, and when the garage got great mechanics, and when it was downtime, I got elder sweepers. So we was sending them to tag and volunteer, and it was taking a lot of time and a lot of money. So I got with the garage director and talked to him, and I sent my sweepers to where they make them there, and they fixed them, and they've been running pretty good. So I got 2 guys sweeping in the daytime and 1 night sweep because I want to catch up.
Yeah.
And now we can run residential and run our state. So we catching up. The new sweeper should be here maybe next month, and I can run all of them. Because the one that I got coming is not CDL qualified, I could put a guy on there.
But y'all running pretty smooth.
We running now. We
Back to
running.
where you need to be for the most part.
Right now, we catching up. And it's always, if you buy a John Deere, send them to John Deere. If you buy Elgin, send them to Elgin. If you got to send it to a place to repair them, and it ain't the equipment they sell, then it take a longer time. Because you gotta get the parts and stuff.
Excuse me, do we need to go back and capture those 2 employees that aren't noted?
I think it was a last minute thing, and it might not got on there in the time amount. I think I done it, asked about it last week. So, you see about it?
Well, I'm looking for it now. It was a
Yeah.
kind of a last minute request.
Yeah.
If we're not in here, I'll confirm one way or the other. If not, I'll add the 2 positions, so.
All right, any other questions for Percy or Johnny?
ADA stuff, how are y'all coming on?
We had a little downtime on that because I had other projects that I started first of the year along with the fire department and the, recycling center. We finally got it up and going, so it didn't kick off like I wanted to, so, but now that we got one more project to do with fire department 1, I believe, and after we do that, then we get back on.
Back into
ADA. I only have 1 crew for ADA, so I pulled them off to do the other projects that we had done in-house.
Okay.
Yeah, so this year's numbers reflect what Johnny just got to explain. I added back this year's numbers to 200,000. That's generally what we've been budgeting for ADA work in the last few years. So we have a budget adequate for kind of the level that we historically have been at on the ADA work. So.
We're tracking those, from my understanding, there was a sheet that we got to track and
Right.
kind of report on.
Yeah, Johnny does a good job of tracking that, so.
Okay. 'Cause I don't think it's a dollar amount, it's more of a linear
Yeah.
feet of
Right,
repaired
right, it's a linear
sidewalk or
feet,
clean stuff.
right.
Yeah, okay.
All right, any additional questions for street?
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Yeah, we
guys.
really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right. see
Oh,
y'all
well,
later.
looks good.
Next up, building and codes, and that is on page 23.
I will follow up on those 2 street positions. I will point out the report that you all have, we removed names on there, so it's difficult to determine if
Not 23.
the positions are currently filled or not. I know on some of them, we tried to highlight where we knew it was a new position, but I'll follow up on that.
Make sure the
I got
money's
myself
there.
messed up, it's not 25, 25, yeah. Can't read my own writing.
Good morning, Mayor, Council.
Good morning. Morning.
All right, any questions? Building, housing and codes enforcement. Greg, got any material changes you want to go over? Any questions from council regarding that?
The only change in operating, I have been requested by our administrative staff to downsize from 2 printers to 1 do-all printer. That's our biggest change in operating.
Like computer IS services is going down a decent amount, is that?
That is our OpenGov software system.
You got to run 2 systems.
We run,
Oh, we're going
I
down.
split it.
Okay.
yeah.
Greg, same kind of discussion that we had with Tom, you know, making sure that y'all are staffed up to handle permits, and I know looking at revenues that you're projecting, and I understand that we've had some pretty big permitted projects this year. Moving to next year, there's some unknowns there on what's gonna come through. So just make sure that, one, you guys got the staff to handle the process of permitting, and then also on the code side, that we're staffed appropriately to deal with and notify residents of code issues and follow up on that. I know there's been a lot of work
Right.
around trying to streamline that process. So I appreciate Robin and y'all's department really coming and speaking to us week or two ago about some of the challenges that she has. So we're working on trying to resolve those from a code standpoint, but from a personnel standpoint, I'm just curious where you guys stand on staffing in both those areas.
Okay. On new construction side, we're fully staffed. Right now, we're handling the load with Georgia Pacific, and we have 3 apartment complexes going on. We're handling it right now. If we get a bunch of new industry, you know, who knows, we may need additional staff. On the housing side, we did have one resign in February. I interviewed Monday, so hopefully we'll be fully staffed on that.
On the
And
code
it's
side.
District 5, by the way, so if, you know, we've been kind of stretched thin over there, but we're working on it.
Okay.
Sir, I wanted to ask you some questions. In regard to the employees in your office, those that go out into the field to see what's going on, how many do you have doing that?
We have 6 on new construction. We have 6 in housing.
Okay. In my district, I'm having a lot of problem with illegal dumping, problem with landlords. Once the house is vacant, they just get all the stuff and just put it out in the front, and the neighbors are just really complaining about that. Now, it's my understanding in talking to the health and sanitation and others that once the house is vacant and the trash is out there, it becomes, you go to housing and code in order to take care of that. Run me through how does that go? Once you get a complaint that this house has all this trash in front of it, and I have some pictures of some that's horrendous, once you get notice of it, what do you do?
We go out, we take pictures, we send the owner of the property or the structure, a letter, a cleanup letter. If they don't comply, we ask Leilani, H&S to go pick it up. She sends us a bill for it, and that property is liened for that amount.
All right, how much time passes from the time you get the notice until the time you send, if you don't hear from the owner, from the time you get the notice and the time you send it to health and sanitation to pick it up?
On trash, it's, I think it's 72 hours is what we give them.
Okay, all right, well, that's a good turnaround. Now, make sure you clear what I'm asking. 114 Dempster Street, horrendous amount of trash out there. I tell you about it, send your pictures, you send your people out and verify it. You contact the owner, you send them a letter. All right, so I guess that's just say 3 days if they're a local person. And then after they have time to have received that letter and they haven't complied with it, then you go out and remove, or send a letter to Leilani to remove it. And well, that could be done within 10 days, from what I hear you saying.
Yes, that's why we try to make it work that way.
Okay, well, are we being successful? Because I have a lot of people saying that they've contacted and the stuff just still stays out there. And it's been out there for, 30 days. Some people told me 30 days. And I've gone past some places that the houses are empty, and I've been by there at least 2 weeks and the stuff is still out there, and I have given notice. So is there a breakdown somewhere in that?
Well, no, there's not a breakdown. When we contact the owner, if we make contact with the owner, sometimes they say, hey, I need a couple more days, I don't
Okay.
have a dump truck. Hey, the tenant put it out there, and they ask for more time. But if we make contact and they just don't pick it up, then that's when we contact H&S to pick it up.
Okay, and the letter you sent out to them says they have 72 hours or so to remove it. Is that right?
Yeah, and if it's a bulk waste pile, if it's other issues, we give them longer, 5 to 10 days. It depends on what the issue is.
All right, okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Rowland?
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is your computer software for the developers of subdivisions, is that going well now? Are they accessing
Yes.
that?
Our computer system has come a long way. We don't have a paper application in our office.
Okay,
All our plans, all our applications, they all come in
so
digital.
you're hearing good?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
we're doing,
Great.
and we can get analytics like this right here. It shows how much, income, how much permits.
Okay.
We can break it down, so.
So at some point, do you think we need to do a training with them, or do you think that's not gonna be necessary now?
So far, we've been working on it, person by person.
Okay.
I think everybody's kind of getting the flow of it.
Correct.
I think the state went that way a year ago, so a lot of them are used to doing that. So it's working out good.
Good, thank you.
One last question. Do you have any cameras in your office?
We are not taking cameras.
No, sir, we do not.
Don't, okay.
No.
All right. Thank you.
The answer's always,
Just the facts
the
and
answer's
no.
always no if you don't ask.
No,
And see, the reason I asked that is because the way we're doing it
Julie.
is that
will you
the
put this on
department
the
does
front page of
well
the
in
post, please?
removing the property, the trash. And then some knucklehead comes back, 2 hours later and dumps it again. So it's a vicious circle that we're having. And unless we, in my view, get an enforcement aspect of this, then we're just going around in circles. And that's why I'm asking about cameras, so we can get the police department involved in enforcing it.
Right, I think we put some signs in some areas that
Yeah,
you asked.
you did. I commend you on that, sir. You did. Thank you.
And that's our number one problem, is the illegal dumping, because you don't know who to chase.
Right.
Right.
Right. And like I said, with the street department, the request was made to put the sign there, and the sign was there 2 or 3 days later. So I thank you so much for that. Thank you.
For the council's information, we're working on these issues that you brought up, Mr. Donnell, on looking at developing a more robust code for property maintenance and for the pickup in a shorter time window. What you described is accurate. And sending a certified letter and the time that elapses there, the time that they're allowed, if they have to go to court, the time for the summons.
Yeah.
The court sometimes gives them a couple of weeks to fix it, and maybe another couple of weeks. And so it can turn into something that should be taken care of in 72 hours into something that takes 2 to 3 months to clean up.
And meanwhile, the neighbors are just
Exactly.
livid and
Yeah.
upset, and I don't
It's
blame.
and the pile's getting added too. at the same time.
You could see that on your radar here within the next couple of months from the code committee is an adjustment to our building code policy and other ways of notification to those property owners that is a quicker process. That's what we've been aiming for.
Very good.
Is a
Thank you.
quicker process, yes,
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Going to, Cap, we got one vehicle building, one vehicle housing.
Correct.
Correct, okay.
We still have not received the ones from last. So, I just got an email, said we don't have a date yet, so that's all I have.
But you have a purchase order for them?
Yes.
Okay, so those are encumbered. You plan on getting those. These are 2 additional.
Yeah,
Correct.
they're working
Okay.
on replacing the fleet over the
Yes.
next several years. They're still working on, some of their folks still driving some Rangers too, so.
Yeah. Correct.
All right, anything else for Greg? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank y'all.
Thanks, sir.
Next up, page 45 in your books, health and sanitation.
Mayor, if I could, while they're making their way up, let me speak to the revenue and health and sanitation. It was noted yesterday, briefly in the session yesterday, as well as the work session last week, that we were suspect of the FY '23 annualized revenue. We had that in there at $11 million, and I suspected that was incorrect. So I researched that yesterday, and it was in fact what I had anticipated that it was going to be. So the correct number on the annualized revenue for garbage collection is, rather than 11 million, it's about 14.6 million, and you would compare that to what's budgeted next year at about 13.6 million or so. That's on page 5 of the revenue report, by the way. The expenses are on page 45 or 46.
Pay for your 45 of your expenses.
Could you run over that annualized figure and project in the budgeted figure?
Yeah, no, how about I just give you a total revenue number, is that okay? Okay. So the total revenue for the department is annualized at $15,065,051. And it's projected next year right now is $14,108,212.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
So we've got some additional expenses, landfill, and our waste management contract.
Yeah, our main increases are gonna be with waste management contract, landfill dumping, and we've also increased our marketing a little bit, and that'll be just for further outreach on bulk waste and recycling.
That was gonna be a point. As I kind of, even in my neighborhood, my district, and talking to those that are trying to engage with this, they're still on the learning curve on what's there, and that's one thing that I was hoping that we would get more in the front end, advertising about how that service operates now. But I think even continuing to push that out there on this is how, and I'm sure you'll have to educate people on the phone on how to do that. But I think that's really critical, that they understand how this process works, so that they're not getting these letters that I'm sure many of them are getting now, that they're in violation of the ordinance, which is just more work for you.
It is.
And one of the things I was gonna talk about was, do you, staffing-wise, you guys feel like you're appropriately staffed to kind of handle where you're at, call volume versus even people out in the field, call trucks?
Well, I have put in for, the only new position I put in for was the part-time to help with customer service.
Okay.
We do have 2 ladies that answer the phone, but our average is 175 calls a day in our peak season.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But
This
for the
morning,
first time in 3 years, we are fully staffed on our operators. May 1st, we'll get in our last position.
okay.
And to echo Councilman Taylor's point, those hangers that went out for the new claw, and which, let me step back. So Thursday, I put in a claw order for Monday. So Sunday afternoon, we put the pile out. Monday, David came by, scooped it up, nice and neat. So it's fantastic when you know about it. But yeah, most people, those hangers that went on the waste management cans, either the hanger got blown off or you didn't read it. So I would just encourage everything you can, because I'm running into the same thing where people are getting frustrated, where's the claw truck? Well, and then I have to educate them, and glad to help, but anything you can do to increase that learning curve, please help our folks.
Y'all brought up great points, and Leilani and I had this conversation last week, so if you're encouraging, you correct me where I misspeak. In your districts, notifying the residents that they have a claw pile out, but also just getting the address down and notifying H&S, that way they can schedule it, go pick it up, and then let them know. They let them know individually, right? If it's reported by one of us or somebody else, they go pick the pile up on a schedule, then let them know after the fact, this is the process, is it a letter, is it, what's the notification for them?
Well, the transition is so big right now.
Yeah.
It's just as big as the curbside. So what we're doing is our system is we're able to recognize and identify it as a report-a-pile. So at the end of all of this, when we kind of take a deep breath, then we will have a list or a dispatch report of all the addresses that were reported. And we plan on sending out postcards at the end of when we can take a deep breath. Like I said, right now, the transition is insane. It's, a cultural habit of 30-something years of people thinking that we're coming around. Our efforts of getting this out was pretty high, I think. We were on WVBJ, we were on the Post, we did it everywhere, not just the card hangers. Radio ads, it was constantly.
The 10 of us sitting up here too to do that,
Exactly.
to work and help people out. And so, if you have an HOA in your district, I talked to an HOA president today's Monday, and he was asking about the piles, and they reported him, and he was gonna get the information out to the folks in his HOA. So, I think it's incumbent upon all of us, not just depending on Leilani and Chris to do that, but working in tandem with them.
Yeah, so you can reach out to us, but we have to have the exact address. You can't say next to 180 Canalco Drive. The way our system is set up, it has every individual address set up so that when we go and key it in, it pulls your address up as paying customers. It'll flag it if you're not a paying customer, and we've caught several people that have, utilized the system for years and not been paying for services. So, we have the resource to do it. It's just gonna take us a little time to get it all out there of how but you as councilmen, your HOAs, neighborhood text group, post, all that, stick it in there, tell them to report a pile. We'll get it in and schedule it in. We're about 3 days out now.
Yeah, I think I reported a pile on Wednesday, picked up on Friday, so, yeah.
worked beautifully.
It does, and it will.
It was so easy to use, super convenient. Like I said, just put it out the night before and gone and clean. So yeah, it works. It just, yeah, it's.
I think, the report file piece for us is if, we stop and get the address and then send them an email on what the address is, they get in there in 2 to 3 days, and then they can get notified on that, but it's still working to educate folks.
Now,
So an email, not necessarily using 311 or,
If you use the 311 app or go directly to the scheduling system, it's gonna ask you for your information. So if you just email us, we put it in as a report-a-pile. And like I said, it'll give us a dispatch report at the end of all of this where we can reach out to the folks that,
Yeah. Sending them an email kind of works as a clearinghouse, so.
yes, it
so
does.
Scott, Tara, Paul, and Sam are doing the same report file in the system.
It makes it easier on
Yeah.
us at the end to reach out to these people to further educate.
You all are doing a great job. I've got my mic back on here. But I do want to say how much we appreciate you. Just last week, I talked to Leilani, and she talked to someone in the north area, and she spent an hour with him, just trying to kind of calm him down and appease him. So want to say thank you, because y'all got a lot on your plate right now.
Thank you.
I am
do
curious, have you seen any change, any material changes? I mean, cost of what we were doing before, because
You
the way
talking
I
about
understand it.
construction debris?
I'm sorry?
What are you talking about? Materials that we're picking up?
Right.
Yeah. Well, we are sending out a lot of letters, and people are responding to that. They're hauling it off without giving us grief and understanding why construction debris is not accepted anymore on the streets.
Well, I guess what I was trying to get to is, has it changed the volume? I mean, if I understood correctly, one of the reasons behind moving to this ordinance was to change the volume. We were running on the same volume or higher than Atlanta, as far as what we were picking up. And the goal was, the way I understood it, was to get, so we wouldn't continue to grow at that same rate and actually be lower in the volume. But I'm seeing more volume is associated with dumping, the cost of dumping and those type things. So I'm wondering, why is that continuing to grow in the budget if the goal was to get it lower?
At this point, I don't know that we have a true answer on what the volume is gonna be. The increases you see for the landfill, it's just strictly their rates go up.
It's CPI.
Based on
Okay, so
CPI.
it's correlated with the,
It's a rate increase.
It's a 8% CPI increase.
8.4%.
so that differential's on par.
Yeah.
Okay.
It went up last year roughly a little over 8%, and waste management went up 6.9, I believe.
They're indexed on the CPI.
Okay.
now one area that, repair and maintenance, that was about $250,000 last year, and there's nothing there. Did it move, or what am I missing on your repair and maintenance line item?
The vehicles.
Well, I would assume vehicle, but yeah, it says repair and maintenance and.
131,432,
Yeah,
330.
so if you've had to spend approximately $250 on repair and maintenance, I would,
Oh, that was for the roof, for the building.
oh, that was, okay.
And what you confirm for me, I have a constituent who has some work done in his house, remodeling. And the material that was taken out was placed in the front of the house.
Oh, no.
And I told them that the remodeler is responsible for removing that.
Yes,
I did tell them correctly.
That is
yes.
correct.
Okay, thank you.
Even before the ordinance change, if you hire the work out, the contractor's supposed to do that.
All right, thank you.
Where are we going, Cameron?
So go on to capital. Chris, you and I talk about every 2 weeks about trucks, when they coming in.
We're still on pace for June
Okay,
for the two that's been ordered since '21.
yeah.
This year in capital, we've got 6 recycling bins. The ones we currently have belong to somebody else, so we won't be self-sufficient. Excuse me. And get our own and a roll-off truck to haul recycling bins as well as we use open tops to help with debris removal.
All right, so yeah, I think they pushed us back on those trucks, what, 3-4 times now, so. Yeah, I'll give them credit, you know, Chris and Leilani have looked at alternatives, and the alternatives are way more expensive to get if we're gonna get them quicker, so hopefully June we'll get them in, the 2 trucks we've had on order for 2 years now.
On the debris,
The $270 for the roll-off truck, what is a roll-off truck?
It's a truck that's got the rails on the back that haul the recycling bins, open tops, construction dumpsters, that type thing.
Okay, okay.
So they basically have rollers on, they roll it down, they put the bin and roll it down.
It's got a cable, it'll pull the bin up on the rails, haul it, dump it, bring it back.
Okay, all right, thank you.
on the debris removal, like yard, I guess, tree trimming, and when a homeowner does that, are we hauling all of that? We're loading it, hauling it off, or do we grind any of it on site?
Haul it off and it
Okay.
goes to the landfill.
Have we looked at that any, like, from a cost perspective? Like,
That's something that, our recycling coordinator's looking into to kind of work. We're trying to partner up and do like a compost area.
okay.
But that is something that she's looking into
Because you gotta dump it and then grind it, so.
for landfill diversion.
Actually, like when you hire a tree
Right.
service, they'll grind it
Right.
there, then haul it off. We're thinking from a equipment and fuel cost, because you can only get so much in our trucks the way we do it, right?
Right.
Does it help you guys any to go to grinding on site kind of deal?
Oh, God, it'd be way expensive from the front end, and then I think just the time, because it.
Some of that's a space issue too, you gotta have space to grind it, and I think a used tub grinder's probably
Yeah, we-
400,000.
Yeah, we talked about that, yeah, it's expensive, and then the time on site to do it, and then if we were to do one off-site, where they take it to it, and having the space to load and then load it in there and grind it up. It's, yeah, it's, we're looking at it, but it's space and cost.
Last question, for real this time.
Y'all have cameras.
People, I was about to say that. He preempted me. When Chief Corley was here, he said, I asked him about the cameras, he said he had 1 or 2 or something, but then he referred me to you all. How many cameras do you all have in your department?
We only have 3, but they are not, what is the data part of it?
The problem with ours is they only record short bursts,
Short what?
short video clips. So we were trying to utilize them for our recycling bins when people were illegal dumping, but they don't record a long enough path to catch what you need.
So they're not beneficial at all then?
Don't say record.
Not a
to
long
Richard.
term.
When you say long-term, you're talking how long?
Well, I'm talking about live. I mean, you know, people are gonna be dumping when people are not around. So it's gotta be 24/7.
I've been using the motion activated cameras that just record at a small space in time.
Yep.
And if a person dumps on vacant property, no houses there, just vacant property, you all don't do that at all? It goes to the other department, building codes,
First, yes.
goes to them first?
And then if the property owner doesn't remove it, then they contact us and we send out a
Thank you.
truck.
All right, any other questions for Leilani and Chris? Thank you all.
Thank you.
Let's take a couple minute, about 4 or 5 minute break. Restroom and all.
Took under the marathon engineering